Hi everybody, welcome to today's video. I thought I would do kind of a fun video today and show you guys how to make a traditional Hmong dish. It's called Kabong and it's basically a curry noodle soup, and I'm just going to show you guys my version of it. There's plenty of other tutorials out there and different people make it differently, but I am going to show you guys how I make it today. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy. I'm going to show you guys all the ingredients and everything, and then put it together and show you guys the final product. And yeah, let's get into it. These are all of the ingredients that we'll be needing for today's recipe, and I'm going to go through them one by one to tell you more details about them. So the first ingredient we're going to start here with is chicken flavor soup base. You can use any kind of chicken flavor soup base. It doesn't have to be the specific brand. This is just what I'm using. And the next thing we are going to need is sugar. I have about 2 to 3 tablespoons here. And then my next ingredient here is salt. And I just have some pink Himalayan salt on hand, so that's what I'm using. You'll just need that for taste. And then also some fish sauce. I have about 2 to 3 tablespoons here. And this is the particular brand of fish sauce that I like to use. Any other brand will do as well. My next ingredient here is oil. I just have about 2 to 3 tablespoons there. And then we have some garlic cloves. That's fresh. I just minced it, about 3 garlic cloves. And then we have lemongrass. That is going to be used for the soup base. And the next thing here is some Kaffir Leaves. I have about 3 of these. They were frozen, so they're a little, they're not fresh, but the flavor is still going to come out once they get cooked. So I just have about 3 here. My next ingredient is you need to thinly slice up some cabbage and also cilantro. Just mix up. This is to top the soup when it's done. And then these are some fresh bamboo shoots. They're actually, you can buy them canned, and you just chop it up just like this. And then the next ingredient that we have here is just some rice vermicelli noodles. You can get these at any Asian store. I'm just using 1 pack for tonight. And then you need chicken. So you can either do a whole chicken, or you can do 8-piece, like they already have it cut up and prepared here, like the pack I got. And then you're gonna need some red curry paste. This is the brand that is best for this recipe. And then some coconut cream, and this is the brand that I like. Again, there's other brands out there as well. And that's pretty much all for all of the ingredients, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we want to do is get our soup base going. So we need chicken broth, and obviously that's why we have the chicken. So just fill up a pot of water, add your chicken in there, and let it start cooking. And I'm going to show you guys real quick. As it starts cooking, you can see that there's impurities from the chicken that float up to the top. So you'll see kind of like foam-like texture and some oils. And so what I like to do is just take time to skim that off, and I'll check in on the chicken periodically and just keep doing the same step over again, and skimming off any impurities that float to the top. And this is just going to help the broth to be much more clear at the end when it all comes together. So this is the first thing that you want to do, because the chicken takes about 35 to 45 minutes to cook. So next up, I have another pot of boiling water that I'm going to cook the noodles in. So all you really need is just the hot water, and then just go ahead and open up your packet of noodles and start putting it in. These noodles are very similar to cooking spaghetti noodles. So if you've done that before, then you're not going to have a problem with this. So I'm just adding the noodles into this hot water, and I'm also just going to put a lid on it just so that it can continue to cook and boil, and we'll just check on it as we go. Next, you're going to need a nonstick saucepan like the one I'm using here. You're going to put it on medium heat, and then you're going to go ahead and add your oil, and as that is getting hot, you are going to also add your minced garlic to it. And I like to use a wooden spoon just to mix everything that's going to be going in the saucepan. And we're just going to wait until the garlic starts to get into a golden brown color before we add anything else. Once the garlic is a nice golden brown color, you're going to go ahead and add the curry. So I just am using this rubber spatula, this mini rubber spatula, to help me get all of the curry out. You're just going to put it directly on top of that oil and garlic, and you're going to really start to smell all of the ingredients infused together. So I'm just making sure I get all of it out, and then I'm going to take my wooden spoon again, and I'm going to go ahead and start mixing and combining all of these ingredients together so that the curry can really start to get toasted and cooked thoroughly in this saucepan. After a few minutes of mixing around, you can see the ingredients have started to combine pretty well, and now I'm ready to add my coconut cream to the mix. So again, I'm just going to use the same rubber spatula to scoop out the coconut cream, and sometimes with these canned products, the solid will separate from the liquid, so just be careful of that as you're taking this out and putting it into the pan. And then the next thing you're going to do is just mix this up with the curry and try your best to combine the ingredients, and the heat is actually going to help make that combination process a lot easier. After a few minutes, as you can see, the ingredients have combined pretty well, and I'm just going to add my Kaffir leaves now to the top, and I'm going to use my wooden spoon to just push those down so that as this mixture starts to simmer and boil, the Kaffir leaf flavor can really get infused into all of it. Here I'm just checking on my chicken again and skimming off any oils that are on the top, and then I'm also going to go ahead and add my lemongrass to the chicken broth, and this is just going to infuse into the chicken as well as into the broth and make it more flavorful. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on and let this continue to cook. Next thing you're going to want to do is just check on the noodles and just kind of mix it around. And what I'm doing here is I'm just picking up some of the noodles, I'm taking it off camera and running it under cold water so that I can do a quick taste test and see if the texture is good, if it's soft enough, and if it is, then your noodles are ready. If your noodles are ready, you're going to need a strainer and a separate bowl on the side as well. So I'm just pouring this pot of noodles into the strainer. Be careful with this, it's very hot. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just run some cold water over the noodles so that the noodles can cool down, and kind of just run it over the top. And then once the noodles start to cool down a little bit, you can put your hand in there and just make sure that the cold water gets down to the bottom as well, so the noodles on the bottom can get cooled down. Now that the noodles are cooled down, I'm going to go ahead and transfer them into this blue bowl that I have here on the side. And then once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and start making my bundles of noodles. And how you do that is just grab some strands of noodles, and then you're just going to put it into a little bundle in your hand and then put it into your basket or strainer, whatever you're using, bowl. And I'm just using a strainer just in case any additional water needs to be drained out. Making these little bundles is going to make it easier to serve the noodles later on. Once your noodles are all prepped, you're going to go ahead and just set this aside, and we won't need it until later on when we're ready to serve the soup. Now we're just going to check on the chicken again, and by now it's about 30 to 45 minutes into cooking the chicken, and looks like they are cooked, so we're just going to go ahead and take them out into a separate bowl. And again, just be very careful because it's hot doing this. Now we just have our chicken broth left, and I'm going to just do one last skim on the top of any oils. I'm also going to take out the lemongrass as well. We won't be needing that anymore. And now we're going to go ahead and start to add the bamboo shoots so that they can just get warmed up. And then in addition to the bamboo shoots, we are also going to add the curry and coconut mixture to the broth as well, so that this can start combining. And just go ahead and pour that in nice and slow. And if you want, you can scoop a little bit of the broth into the pan if you have a small pan like mine, just to get any excess curry that might be sticking to the pan. We're just going to give it a little mix so that those ingredients can combine, and then we're going to start to add our seasonings to the broth. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start with is the sugar, so go ahead and just pour that in. And then once you've put the sugar in, we're going to go next to the fish sauce. And all of these ingredients that I'm adding in here, you can add more or less just depending on the taste and flavor that you like. Here I'm just adding some salt, and then we are just going to mix that up and allow it to all get mixed up in there. And then I'm just going to put the lid back on and let it continue to cook. Alright, we're almost there, guys. Now we're going to go ahead and start pulling apart the chicken, and if you have tongs and a fork, or you want to use 2 forks, that's totally fine. The chicken is hot, so just be careful, and you're going to just start pulling it apart and shredding it into small pieces, and then you're going to put all of the chicken aside in a bowl, and you can leave a few whole pieces if you want. Like I left some of the legs and the thighs, the thighs that they cut in half, I left those as whole pieces just because they're kind of easy to eat and better to eat on the bone. So by now your broth should be boiling. Go ahead and start adding your chicken in there, and just do this very slowly and carefully so that you don't burn yourself. And then I'm just going to take my spoon and mix it all up a little bit. I'm also going to add my chicken flavoring at this time, and I'm going to add about 4 tablespoons, and then again mix it up, taste it. If it needs more salt, add more salt. If you want it to be sweeter, add more sugar. The fish sauce has, again, like a fishy, salty taste, so I'm adding a little bit more of that as well. And yeah, it's as long as you know it's tasting to your liking, that's all that matters. So you kind of just have to make adjustments as the broth is cooking, mix it all up, taste it until you like it, and then your broth is pretty much ready to go. Now we're just going to go ahead and start assembling our bowl of noodles. So go ahead and just do a bundle of noodles in there, and then you're going to put the broth in there. And I like to just kind of mix it so that you don't get all the oils. Some people like the oils, but yep, just put your broth in there, get some chicken, get some bamboo shoots, make sure you get a little bit of everything, and then you want to fill the broth to submerge entirely all the noodles. And then once you've done that, you can top it off with some cabbage and cilantro, and then you can also squeeze some fresh lime if you want a little extra flavor as well. And there we did it, guys. Now this is the final product, and let's enjoy it.
Thanks.
Alright guys, here's the first taste of it. I'm just gonna taste the broth first. It's hot, okay?
Me too, I'm gonna taste the broth too. It's not hot.
Oh, sorry.
Is yours hot?
No, it's not. Probably because it took a long time. Good?
Yeah, it's good.
How good?
Give it a 9.
Pass me napkin. The broth is like nice and light, right?
Very light, very good. Everything A-OK. View number 10.
I load everything onto my spoon. Put some broth in there. If you would like to try this recipe out, I will write down the recipe and the ingredients and stuff down in the description. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.
And comment if you want to see me cook. I can cook too.
Okay. Peace.